wind whispers through the olive trees. The sun hides behind dark clouds, as if the sky itself knows what's coming. The streets of Jerusalem are filled with tension, faces of fear, betrayal, and faith. And in the middle of it all, walks one man, calm/silent. A man who knows that the end is near, yet still walks toward it. This is not just another day. This is the final day of Jesus. The city stands heavy with silence. From a distance, the temple bells echo, calling people to prayer, but beneath that sound lies something different. A storm is gathering. Jesus and his followers have entered Jerusalem one last time. The crowds that once shouted Hosanna now whisper behind closed doors. The air feels uneasy, filled with the weight of unspoken prophecy. The disciples follow their teacher through narrow streets, uncertain and afraid. They sense what he has already accepted. The time has come. Every step feels slower, heavier. Each glance between them carries the same question. They're too afraid to speak. Is this truly the end? Night begins to fall. The group gathers in a quiet room, the Last Supper. Oil lamps flicker, their flames trembling like the hearts of the men around the table. Jesus looks at each of them, his eyes filled with both love and sorrow. He breaks the bread, lifts the cup, and speaks softly. This is my body. This is my blood, given for you. The words hang in the air, a promise and a farewell wrapped in one. Outside, the world doesn't know what's about to happen, but heaven does. The moon grows dim, the wind grows colder. Somewhere in the darkness, a man walks away. Judas. The sound of his footsteps fades into the night, carrying with it the shadow of betrayal. As the supper ends, Jesus leads his disciples to the Mount of Olives. The night sky stretches endlessly above them, filled with stars that seem to tremble. He kneels to pray, his voice breaking through the silence. Sweat falls like drops of blood as he whispers to his Father, not out of fear, but surrender. Not my will, but yours be done. In that moment, heaven listens. Angels watch. The story that began in a humble manger is now moving toward its final chapter. Every miracle, every word, every act of love has led to this. The moment when the Son of Man accepts his destiny. The silence breaks. From the shadows, torches appear. Soldiers approach. Judas steps forward. The kiss of betrayal seals the fate of the one who came to save. And as they lead him away, his followers watch helplessly, their hearts torn between love and fear. This is how the final day begins. Not with thunder or fire, but with quiet surrender. The greatest story ever told is about to reach its darkest hour. In its brightest light, the night has turned colder, the air thick with dread. The silence is no longer peaceful, it feels alive, crawling through the streets like an unseen spirit. Torches flicker against stone walls as soldiers march through the dark, their armor clinking with every step. In the distance, a soft cry echoes from the Garden of Gethsemane, and the world begins to change. Jesus stands still as the crowd approaches. Their faces glow in the orange light of the torches, but none of them look at him with love. They have come not as seekers of truth, but as carriers of fear. Judas steps out from among them, his face pale, eyes unsteady. For a moment, time freezes. The teacher and the betrayer stand face to face. Judas' trembling hand rests on his shoulder, and with a kiss, destiny is sealed. The soldiers rush forward, ropes and chains in their hands. Peter reacts, driven by anger and loyalty, drawing his blade in defense. The clash of steel cuts through the night, but Jesus' voice, calm and steady, silences everything. Put your sword away, words pierce deeper than any weapon could. Even in his arrest, he shows mercy. Even in betrayal, he chooses peace. The disciples scatter, their faith tested by fear. The man who healed the blind, who raised the dead, now walks bound in chains. He is led through the city streets toward the council chambers, where the priests and elders await. The same men who once debated his words now prepare to condemn him. Inside the chamber, the air is thick with falsehood. The high priest demands answers, his voice sharp and impatient. "Are you the Son of God?" he asks, his tone half accusation, half fear. Jesus looks up, his face calm, his eyes steady. "You say that I am." The room erupts in anger. Papers are torn, voices shout, hands strike, yet he does not resist. The silence of his patience is louder than their rage. Outside, Peter hides in the shadows, his heart pounding. The fire nearby flickers as strangers recognize him. "You were with him," they say. Peter shakes his head again and again, his words trembling. "I do not know the man." The rooster crows. The weight of guilt falls heavy upon him, and tears blur his sight. Meanwhile, Jesus is taken before Pilate, the Roman governor. Pilate studies him, the bruises, the quiet strength, the strange peace. He turns to the crowd, confused. "I find no fault in this man," he says. But the crowd has made up its mind. The same mouths that once cried Hosanna now scream, "Crucify him." Pilate washes his hands. The basin fills with water, but no amount can wash away what is about to happen. The order is given. The Messiah's fate is sealed not by one man's decision, but by the cry of many hearts, blinded by fear. As dawn approaches, the world feels heavier, as if creation itself knows the weight of what's coming. The sky darkens even before the sun rises. The conflict is no longer between men, it's between heaven and earth. Light and shadow, life and death. This is no longer a story of miracles. It's a story of courage, love, and the cost of saving a broken world. The chosen path has led here into the hands of those who will break his body, unaware that they are fulfilling the greatest prophecy ever written. The sun rises, but its light feels weak, as if even the heavens mourn what is about to unfold. A crowd gathers in the streets, restless, loud, and blind to what they're witnessing. The air trembles with shouts, metal, and dust. At the center of it all stands Jesus, beaten, crowned with thorns. Wrapped in a silence that speaks louder than the noise around him, the Roman soldiers push him forward, their laughter sharp and cruel. Each lash has left its mark, not just on his body, but on the world itself. The crowd watches, some cheering, some weeping, most uncertain. They don't see a savior anymore. They see a condemned man carrying his own cross. Yet even as his body trembles under the weight, his spirit does not break. The road to Golgotha stretches long and cruel, a path lined with faces of judgment and sorrow. Along the way, a woman steps out from the crowd, her eyes filled with tears, her hands trembling. It's his mother. For a brief second, time stops. Their eyes meet, a mother seeing her son suffer, and a son trying to comfort her without words. No crown, no robe, no miracle, just love, raw and unspoken. He stumbles. The cross falls. Dust rises. A soldier grabs a stranger from the crowd, Simon of Cyrene, and forces him to help. Simon hesitates, then lifts the wood beside the weary man. For the first time, someone shares his burden, and in that silent moment, humanity joins the divine. The path grows steeper. The sky darkens, though it's still morning. The earth itself seems to hold its breath. Each step echoes through eternity, every fall, every breath, every drop of blood, painting the story of redemption. The women of Jerusalem cry out, but he turns to them and says softly, "Do not weep for me." Even now, his heart is on others. At last they reach the hill. 3 crosses stand against the horizon, rough, cold, merciless. The soldiers prepare the nails, the hammer, the ropes. The crowd quiets. The wind grows still. He looks up at the sky, not in anger, not in fear, but in surrender. This is not defeat. This is purpose. As the hammer falls, the sound echoes across creation. Heaven watches. The earth trembles. The angels look away. Each strike is a heartbeat of love. Each wound a message. This is how far grace will go. They raise the cross high. The sky begins to bleed with light and shadow. Around him, mockery and tears mix together. Yet through it all, he whispers forgiveness for those who don't understand. For those who betray, for those who watch. The road ends on that hill. But his journey, the real one, is just beginning. Every step to Calvary was not a walk toward death. It was a march toward victory. The sky bleeds red and gray. The wind howls across the barren hill as if creation itself is crying out. Time feels slower here, heavy and sacred. 3 crosses stand tall against the storm-darkened heavens, wood and flesh bound together in silence. This is no ordinary execution. This is the final day. When eternity bends to touch the earth, Jesus hangs between heaven and humanity. His arms stretched wide, his breath shallow, his heart still steady. The crown of thorns presses deeper, each point a reminder of pain chosen, not forced. Around him, soldiers cast lots for his robe, laughing as if they're unaware they stand inside the center of history. The crowd below shifts between mockery and mourning, some shouting, others trembling. The ones who loved him can only watch from afar, powerless yet devoted. A thief beside him turns and whispers, his voice breaking through pain. "Remember me when you come into your kingdom." And with his fading strength, Jesus answers, "Today, you will be with me in paradise." Even in agony, he gives hope. Even on the cross, he saves. The sky darkens unnaturally, not like evening, but like the world itself turning away in grief. The sun hides. The earth quakes. The temple curtain far away begins to tear from top to bottom. The separation between man and God begins to vanish, not through force, but through surrender. His mother stands at the foot of the cross, tears tracing paths down her face. Her heart breaks, yet she does not look away. Beside her stands John, the disciple he loved. Jesus looks down, his voice faint but clear. "Behold your son. Behold your mother." Even in his last moments, he builds family out of sorrow. Each breath is now a battle. The pain is beyond measure, yet the peace within him remains untouched. He looks toward the heavens, not in anger, but in completion. The wind grows louder, carrying his final words like thunder over the hill. It is finished. In that instant, everything stops. The soldiers freeze. The crowd falls silent. The sky roars. The earth shakes. And for one brief moment, the world feels the weight of divine love. The Creator has died, but creation has begun again. Then silence. Only the soft rain begins to fall, washing the blood-stained ground, carrying away the dust of death. The disciples hide. The city sleeps. The world believes it has witnessed an ending. But heaven knows. This silence is only the pause before resurrection. The final day is not the story of death. It is the story of love taken to its furthest edge. Love that endures nails, betrayal, and darkness. Just to bring light back to a broken world, the world has gone quiet. The echo of the cross still hangs in the air, like the last note of a song that refuses to fade. The hill of Golgotha is empty now. Only the wind remains, whispering through the wooden beams where heaven and earth once met. The soldiers have left. The crowd has vanished. And in the silence, sorrow settles like dust. The body of Jesus lies still, wrapped in linen and placed inside a borrowed tomb. The stone rolls into place with a deep, heavy sound, a final seal on what the world believes is the end. The air inside the tomb is cold, unmoving. Outside, the sky has turned the color of ash. Hope seems buried with him. The disciples hide behind locked doors. Fear sits with them like an uninvited guest. The miracles, the laughter, the promises, all feel like distant dreams. Peter stares at his hands, remembering the sword he dropped, the words he denied. Every heartbeat feels like guilt. Every silence feels like punishment. The man who once walked on water now drowns in regret. Mary, the mother, sits in the shadows. Her eyes are red, her heart silent, but awake. She replays his final look, his final words, over and over, not to remember his death, but to hold on to his love. Around her, the world moves on, unaware that history has stopped breathing. Even the heavens mourn. The stars hide, the moon is veiled, and time feels fragile, as if creation itself is holding its breath, waiting for something it cannot explain. The scent of myrrh and spices fills the air as a few faithful women prepare to visit the tomb at dawn. Their steps are slow, not from fear, but from heartbreak, but beneath the ground. In the silence no human can hear, something stirs. Not sound, not motion, something deeper. The breath of eternity begins to move. The darkness trembles. The earth shifts softly, as if the very stones are listening for the heartbeat of God to return. Somewhere beyond time, light gathers, faint, then brighter. The story that looked like an ending is quietly preparing to begin again. Heaven waits, creation listens, and the angels stand ready. The tomb that was meant to hold death is about to become the birthplace of life. The shadow before dawn is always the darkest. Yet even in this moment of despair, something unseen is happening. Love has not died. It is only hidden, waiting for the first light of resurrection to break through the silence. The night is gone, but the world still lies in silence. The stone remains heavy at the mouth of the tomb, and the air carries the scent of sorrow and myrrh. The earth seems frozen in time, waiting, expecting, trembling. But somewhere deep within that tomb, light begins to breathe. It starts softly, like a spark in the heart of creation. The stillness breaks. The breath of life moves through the linen, gentle yet unstoppable. A heartbeat returns, slow, steady, eternal. The king who once bowed to death now rises above it. The silence of the grave is shattered by the sound of eternity awakening. Outside, first light of dawn crawls over the hills. 3 women walk through the fading darkness, carrying spices, their footsteps quiet but filled with faith. They do not come expecting a miracle, only to honor the one they loved. The sky glows gold and crimson, as if heaven itself can no longer hold back its joy. When they arrive, they stop. The stone is gone. The tomb is open. The guards lie still on the ground, pale and trembling. Inside, the air hums with light, soft, pure, alive. The linen is folded neatly, untouched by decay. Confusion floods their faces. Then a voice, calm as morning wind, breaks through the fear. Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen. The words echo through the empty tomb like thunder and song all at once. Tears turn to wonder. Fear melts into awe. The impossible has happened. Death has lost its claim. The women run, their hearts racing faster than their feet, carrying the first news that will change all of time far away. The disciples remain hidden, lost in grief. Peter stares at the floor when he hears the knock. Breathless voices tell him the tomb is empty. He runs through the narrow streets, his feet striking the stones like the rhythm of hope reborn. At the tomb, he sees for himself nothing but the folded cloth and the light that will never fade again. And somewhere unseen, heaven erupts in song. The chains of death lie broken. The darkness that once ruled now flees before the dawn. The same hands that bore the wounds now carry victory. The resurrection is not just an event, it's the heartbeat of eternity. It's the morning when sorrow turned to joy, when defeat transformed into glory. The light that burst from that tomb still burns in every shadow of this world. This is the dawn that changed everything. The day when life defeated death. Forever, the sun climbs higher, washing the city in gold. The same streets that once echoed with shouts of "Crucify him" now stand silent, kissed by the light of a new beginning. The cross still stands upon the hill, but it no longer speaks of death. It whispers of victory. The tomb that once symbolized loss is now an empty doorway to eternity. The disciples gather slowly, their fear replaced by wonder. The one they saw buried now walks among them. Not as a vision, not as a ghost, but alive, real, radiant. His eyes carry both the weight of the cross and the joy of resurrection. He greets them not with judgment, but with peace. "Do not be afraid," he says, his voice calm and steady. "I am with you. Always." They touch his hands. The scars remain, glowing faintly like marks of glory, not pain. Every wound has become a promise. Every tear shed has become a testimony. In his presence, broken faith is restored, shattered hearts begin to heal, and courage is reborn. Days pass. The risen Savior walks with them through familiar hills, sharing bread, laughter, and truth one last time. He reminds them of their purpose, to carry light into the world, to speak of love that even death could not silence. The mission is no longer just his. It is theirs then. One morning, he leads them to a quiet mountain. The wind hums softly around them, as if nature itself pauses to listen. His robe moves like fire in the sunlight. He looks at them not as followers, but as messengers. "Go into all the world," he says, "and tell them what you have seen." As they watch, light surrounds him, pure, unending, alive. The sky opens, the world stands still. The man who walked among fishermen now rises beyond clouds and crowns, beyond time itself. The earth has seen its Savior, and heaven has received its King. For a moment, silence. Then, hope. The disciples stand there, faces lifted, hearts burning. The cross was not the end. The tomb was not the defeat. Love has conquered everything: sin, sorrow, and death itself. From that day onward, the story spreads through whispers, through songs, through faith. Empires fall, kingdoms fade, but his words remain. The message continues to move through centuries and hearts that love is stronger than hate. That life is greater than death, that the light of one man could save the entire world. And so, the chosen story ends not with sorrow, but with promise. Because the journey of Jesus did not stop at the cross, it began there. The screen fades to black. A final voice whispers, gentle and eternal, "The end was never the end. It was the beginning of forever." The Chosen. Season 6. The final day of Jesus, releasing soon. The story that changed the world lives on.